Release the Kraken!
Welcome back, fellow game designers. In our last episode, we went ahead and modeled our hero ship. In this one, we're going to model one of the enemies. Let's set up our image planes. I'll grab just a plane here. If your grid is off, you can toggle the grid button to turn it on, or you can use the display grid option to turn it on and off. Just be aware that the grid here and the grid here, they're two separate buttons, and they do the same thing, but they don't talk to each other. So you can see if I turn the grid off here, there's a checkbox. It's off, but this one is still on. You see that? And then toggling it does nothing. If I go here and turn this one on, I can toggle it here, and you can see it's off, but the checkbox is still on, and they don't talk to each other. So just be aware of that. So just make sure you check both. Maybe one day Maya will figure it out, and they'll work together, but they currently don't. Anyway, make sure your grid's on, and let's make this, we'll do 100 by 100. We're in the polyplane options here. Make sure that we're in channel box if you're not. So if you can't find that, it's right here on the edge or here. And then we're in our polyplane options. I'm going to do this as 100 by 100, so it's 1 meter. And then for my subdivisions width and height, I'm going to set these, I'm going to do this as 1. And in the last video, we did UVs one at a time. This time, I'm going to set this up where we have all the UVs here, and we're going to cut the image. It doesn't really matter how you make these. It's just fun to do something different. So for my width, instead of doing 100, I'll do 300. And for my subdivision width, I'll do 3. So we have one for our top, side, and other. So I'm going to go up to rendering here, throw on a Lambert, grab my Lambert 2 here, and then we'll call this ship reference. So reference. Go to your color, hit the checker box, and locate your file. So file, and then folder. Go ahead and locate your file. All right, and I'm going to be doing my ship 3 tutorial. If you are one of my students, you will have access to this for practice. If you are one of my Patreons, you can also download this from the Patreon page. If you don't have one of these of your own, you can follow the previous video to see how to make this image. All right, go ahead and open that, and then press 6 to add it. And you can see that right away, it doesn't fit our UV layout. So let's go up to UVs, and then UV editor. If you don't see UV editor or UVs up here, just make sure you're in the modeling mode. Okay. So there we have it. This is in here. And the picture's not showing up, but we have a few options. We can just hit the little picture icon right here. It's a little mountain, like green mountain icon. We can hit that to turn the picture on. And here we go. Our UVs are laid out, and they're kind of squished here. I'm going to take this UV image, so go to UVs. I'm going to select the top half of the UVs here. So that gives me these 4 dots. Hit the W key, and then hold down the X key, and I will drag this up to the top here. And that makes us really nice UVs across. And because we took the time in Photoshop to make sure that these were good in center, they're pretty much on spot. Like this one is pretty much dead center, and they're all scaled to the right size. That's really handy. I can close my UV window, and I'm going to go to edge mode. And what I'm going to do is grab the edges between this one and that one. So this edge and that edge. I'm going to go over to edit mesh, come down to detach. What that will do is it will disconnect this edge and that edge. And then if we want to separate these out, we can go to object mode. Right now, Maya still thinks it's a single object with separated edges. So we'll go up to mesh, come down to separate. And now Maya will treat each one of these as a new object. I'll just grab all 3. Let's go over to poly modeling, and then we'll hit the center icon, and that will make sure that our widgets are center on each one. Now it's time to arrange these. Now our front and our side are identical, so it really doesn't matter which one you use for this. I'm just going to move my side out of the way for a second. My top view is going to go dead center, so hold down the X key, And I'm just going to drag the arrow until it's centered. Awesome. And then I'm going to move it down in my Y. So I'll go to my Y setting here. And I'll do, for my translate Y, I'll do -120. I'll grab my front. And you can see my front says it's at 0. But because it was born over here, it thinks this is 0. So I'll just go ahead and snap it over. I'll hold down the X key. And then I'll just drag the arrow until it snaps center. And then I'm going to move it back in the Z. So translate Z, I'll move it back to 120 units. And however far back you go is up to you. I think this is good enough for me. But I also want the front view to be facing my front, which is my Z. So here's Z, here is Z. To rotate to face Z, I have to rotate on the X. So I'll go to my X rotate, and I'll do 90. So now it's standing up, and look, it's right on in line with the grid, because we did that in Photoshop. We made sure it was on the grid line. I'll do the same thing for my side view. Let's go ahead and hold X. We'll snap that back to 0 on the grid. And then I'm going to move it 120 units to the left. So I'll go to translate X. And I'll do -120. And I want it to face forward. So I'll go to rotate X. We'll do 90. And then I want it to face to the right over here. So I'll go down to rotate Y. And I'll do 90. And see that? This flipped over. This one didn't change any. It's good and happy. All right, so there are 3 image planes. Let's go ahead and grab them. I'm going to create a layer. So layers, create layer from selected. And I will set this layer to a reference. And I'll double click the name. And I'll call this references. Then I'll come over to my outliner here. And I'll open this group. Now, Maya will automatically group things when you separate them. Sometimes it's good for you, sometimes it's kind of annoying. In this case, it works out because we were going to group this anyway. So I'm going to name the group here, this polyplane 1, and I'll just name this ship references. There we go. And then this one is my front. So front ref. This is my side ref, and my top ref. So top ref. I'll grab all those. Now I can't grab out here because these are set to reference. I can uncheck the R, or I can just select the group here and it'll grab all of them. So I'll go ahead and just grab them all. I'll go up to edit and I'll come down to delete by type. We'll get rid of the history. Now these are all nice and clear, and you'll see the transform that was on here that also got nuked because we no longer needed it. It was just left over from when we split the objects. All right, so this scene is ready to go. Make sure you save this. So I'll go to File, Save As, and this is going to be my enemy ship. So I'll go down to my classes here, make sure I go to my Space Invaders. We have our hero ships. I'm going to go ahead and just name this enemy ship. So enemy ship. And if this is your small enemy, medium enemy, or your boss, just name it appropriately. I'll do this one as enemy ship 01, and then I will save it. And I shall see you next time. Hey guys, thank you for checking out my channel. Misty and I both thank you. If you enjoyed that video you just watched, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Or if you want to support the channel, check me out on Patreon or pick up one of my books, Life and Times of Dinah Marton or The Guardian's Path of Ascension. Speaking of which, I'm converting The Guardians into a graphic novel / comic book series. Here is a sneak peek. My wonderful artist, Patrick, is doing a great job. I'm excited. I want to push this out as soon as possible. So definitely keep your ears and eyes open for that. I'll be making announcements as we get closer, and I'll post some shots of that as we go. And if you want to follow me on social media, you can check me out on Twitter. I guess now it's X. Who does that? It's BruceRF1 at Twitter, or at whatever the new thing for Twitter is. Anyway, hopefully see you there, and I'll see you guys next time.